Welcome to another David Rams live stream, and today we are joined by none other than Soytheist, or Aditya, whichever. What do you want to be referred to, man? Do you want to go by Soytheist, like YouTube name, or your real name?
Soytheist.
Soytheist, yeah. All right, that makes sense. So we're here with Soytheist. You can check out who he is in the description of the video, and also we'll post a link in the live chat as well if you want to check him out after. So we're here talking about MrBeast and TeamSeas, hashtag TeamSeas. We're talking about it because we have both criticized MrBeast, Jimmy. We both made videos and we both got significant hatred for said videos. Like a lot of hate, a lot of views, right? Your videos at what? How many views is your video at right now?
I think 24,000 views, something like that. Yours over to mine.
Mine's gone to 75,000, and I think I know the reason. I think I know the reason for that. I think it's because you were quite measured and calm, and kind of even you could be said polite, and I wasn't. I wasn't mean, but I was definitely not the most polite. I think that's why mine's got drama and yours had drama, but it didn't have as much drama. I think that's all it is. You know what YouTube is like, man. You know how it is.
People love drama.
They fucking do. So we decided, let's get on a stream. Let's talk about what's MrBeast doing, what's TeamSeas, what is this whole situation, and then maybe we can get into like we want to elaborate a bit more on. Let's discuss like why we have a problem with it, and why we have a problem with MrBeast and anyone that's doing this stuff, and also kind of what can they do about it, because there's no use us just sitting here and complaining and you know, people say you're just sitting there in front of a computer and complaining. It's like, okay, well fine then, we'll suggest some real life things you can do. So let's talk about what MrBeast is doing, what's TeamSeas, right? So I think I don't know how deep your understanding is of it. From my angle, from my side, it's just he's done this TeamSeas campaign where they're taking trash out of the ocean, the rivers and the beaches. 30,000 pounds, right? Is that pretty much the be all end all? Those 30 of course, 30 million pounds. Yeah. Is there anything else that I've missed about that? I think that's pretty much all I saw that it was, just basically cleaning up that trash.
That's what it is. But putting it like that seems like giving him more credit than he deserves. It's like a whole YouTube community thing, right? So he has asked people to like make videos about it and direct everyone, like everyone's viewers to this one website, and it's like a whole community effort. So it's not like him doing all the stuff. So I think that's important to mention, like because like it can go under the radar. So
because people are seeing him as like some kind of saint, some kind of hero, and he's done. I mean, don't get me wrong, right? Let me just. I need to say something right now. I don't hate MrBeast. You could even go as far as saying I am a fan of MrBeast. I am a fan of his videos. I'm a fan of his energy. I'm a fan of the charity he does. I'm a fan of. I like him. I actually genuinely like the guy from what I've seen of him online. I don't buy into this nonsense that these videos that are like he's horrible to work for, MrBeast exposed, like these other videos. I don't buy into it. I just don't. I think this is cancel culture bullshit. And that's not what I don't think we're engaging in cancel culture right now. I know we're not. This isn't what this is, right? I like him. I like him. I like his videos. I watch his videos. No hatred from my side. But what is the problem we do have with him, right? Let's get into this. What's the problem with MrBeast? What's the problem with TeamSeas? Maybe you can kick us off here. Why did you make this video that you made? Because you're the first one to do it, right? You're the first vegan I saw doing it. What was the reason you decided to make it?
So MrBeast is trying, like, has started on this campaign to help clean the oceans. The problem is not that he's just only doing this much, but he's not solving everything. The problem is that he's contributing to the problem, right? In a sort of larger way. Like he's contributing to a larger thing that causes the problem, and he's solving a small part of that problem. Like it's like wrecking someone's garden, like helping to wreck someone's garden, and then running a charity to fix some part of it. I think that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So yeah, and the reason that what we're saying this is, well, it's two parts, right? Is that one, he owns a business that is directly dealing with the biggest, like if there's any food on the planet that is responsible for the most environmental destruction, it's meat and it's beef. Specifically beef is like number one. And then you've got all the other different types of animal products that are coming down in a list. And then it goes into plant products and it gets lower and lower, right? In terms of environmental impact. So he is serving predominantly. He's just introduced a vegan burger, Impossible Burger, but that's one of the items on his menu, which is like 99% animal products. He's made over $34 million from that company. So people keep saying, well, he's raised $30 million for charity, but he made 34 million so far from a company that destroys the planet, kills animals, and forces poor people to work in slaughterhouses. Because that's what the meat industry does. They take poor, disadvantaged people, give them jobs in slaughterhouses, give them PTSD and depression. So it's just like a triple whammy. You know what I mean? So what you just said, that's why what you said just makes complete sense. You're trying to fix the problem that you are actually causing, and it's not even fixing the problem. You're like, the house is burning down. You're actually, part of what you're doing is pouring fuel on that fire, whilst you're also pouring water on the front door to put the front door out,
Right. Let's just get a very quick number on this. Right, so MrBeast is taking out 30 million pounds from the oceans, like he plans to, and the fishing industry, right? The fishing industry contributes to like 500,000 tons of plastic waste into the oceans every year. Now, 500,000 tons is like we have to convert it into pounds. That's like 1 billion pounds. Every year, and we can these numbers are from WWF. So it's like, it doesn't even compare 1 billion pounds to like 30 million pounds. That's like 3%, I think, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I think so. It's like, but the thing is, it's like, TeamSeas it's not a bad thing. Like, I don't look at it and go, idiots. I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, this is great. These guys are cleaning beaches, they're getting in the oceans, they're getting people they're inspiring the youth of today to go out and give a shit about the planet, give a shit about the oceans. The campaign is fantastic. I've got people seem to, you've had the same bullshit. They seem to think that you and I and others, we've got a problem with the campaign. We think it's shit. We think it's not shit. It's brilliant. It's inspirational. It's a fantastic idea. And kudos to him for coming up with the idea, if he came up with it, and for pushing it, using his platform for something that helps people and helps the planet. But the problem is that what he's doing is like top level shit. He's gone above and beyond. But he's skipped all the other steps to get there. The first thing you do if you want to save the planet, save the animals, help people, help the world, is see what you're doing in your own personal life and start to make your own bed before going out and trying to encourage people to make their beds. That's the way I see it. And he's skipped that completely. And not only has he not made his bed, he's like blown his bed up because he owns a bloody burger fucking restaurant, a fast food burger chain. It's like, dude, like, should that not be step one? Stop contributing to the problem before trying to get people to fix the problem that you are still creating with that. Like,
you're creating a larger problem than the part that you're solving. Like this part is good, right? We're saying like, you've got it right on this side. Like, stop like causing the same problem on the other side. So it's not like this is bad. It's that you're like not being consistent here. That's the problem.
It's inconsistent, and it's again, there's so many analogies we could use, but the house on fire one is the one really. It's like you're pouring fuel on it on one side of the house whilst you're pouring water on the other side of the house. Why? Stop pouring fuel on it. Stop pouring fuel on it. Just pour water on it, man. And with him specifically, with MrBeast specifically, the MrBeast burger is the biggest the point of hypocrisy. Also, his personal life, knowing that he is every single day, minimum 3 times a day, is voting for products that cause environmental destruction, death, violence to animals, violence to humans, because that's what animal agriculture does to the planet, the animals, and the humans. It hits everyone, it hits all of them. So that, just the personal lifestyle without MrBeast burger it's also massively hypocritical for all of these influencers who aren't vegan to be going out and cleaning plastic up and then going home and eating and paying for things that do way more environmental destruction than you could never pick up. There's no amount of plastic you could pick up that would compensate for the amount of destruction you do to the planet, the animals, and people by being not eating plant-based. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no balance. You could never balance it out. You could pick plastic up every minute of every fucking day for the rest of your life, and you would still not even come close to balancing out the scale of the destruction you've caused by not being vegan.
Right, and the reason for like consuming these things is not like you need it, right? It's not like it's not like these things are necessary to be healthy. It's not like we're asking you to be unhealthy and weak
Right.
and frail and like never get out of bed. That no, you can be just as healthy, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And you on like eating plants, and as you can be on eating animals, and you can be, by the way, just as sick, like eating plants and eating
Sure.
animals. So it's not like you point to one vegan, that vegan is sick, therefore I am not gonna go vegan. It's like you can be healthy on this stuff. So like the justification for this stuff is just taste pleasure. And certainly, like when we usually talk about this stuff, right? People come at us, but what about poor people? What about disabled people? What about those uncontacted tribes over on that island? But like we have responses to that, like we can debunk those arguments, but in this case we're talking to like a millionaire, right, who, with
Yeah.
all the
Exactly.
resources, and we're talking most of the people that are watching these videos about TeamSeas and are donating, they certainly have the resources. Like if you have money to donate to, like, don't kid me, you have the money to go vegan, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly, exactly. You know, I was at a climate protest today, and some of the
Yeah.
arguments were very similar to some of the arguments of some people defending MrBeast as well. So we can switch the focus for a second. Maybe people will find it easier if we're not. So we're not talking about MrBeast right now. We're going to talk about these climate protesters. And I had a doctor tell me that the reason he won't go vegan at a climate protest, believe it or not, even though he agreed with me that animal agriculture was destructive, he agreed with me that it was causing, he knows these things. He's not an idiot. He knows it's causing species extinction, ocean dead zones. I explained to him how it's violence, violence to animals. It's abusing animals for things we don't need. He's a doctor. He said yes. He said, yes, we can eat plant-based, we can be healthy. So he knew that. And then I also mentioned to him about the slaughterhouse workers and how these are usually disadvantaged minority groups who take slaughterhouse jobs because they can't do anything else. They have no other qualification or anything. Then they end up with PTSD, depression from slitting throats all day. And after all of that, he said, but there are people out there who don't have the resources to even eat full stop. They don't have the resources to eat anything properly. They're eating trash. So we need to think about that. And I was like, right, how is that stopping you from adapting your life? You're a doctor. You have the money. You have the knowledge. You have everything you need, just like everybody else at this climate protest does. So therefore, if you don't make that change when you can, what are you doing out here protesting? Like, you're telling the government to change when you won't even change yourself. Like, these guys were protesting the COP26 meeting in Glasgow because they think they're all hypocrites and full of shit. And it's like, but you are also a hypocrite and you're full of shit. Right, but you know what I mean? Like, how can you point the finger at those guys?
It's rules for thee, but not for me. So
And they are full of shit. Don't get me wrong. The COP26, they're full of shit. Their menu, 60% animal-based products, 60% animal products. They've flown from all over the world. Fucking celebrities, rich people, private planes, private jets. It's just completely full of shit. And MrBeast and the TeamSeas are doing they're doing the same thing on a smaller scale. Obviously, it's not quite the scale of like the leaders of the world meeting up, but hey, MrBeast is at 23. He could be considered a significant leader in the world. He's got, he's only young, but fuck, he's got a bigger influence than most celebrities, right?
Right.
I mean, shit.
Definitely.
So it's a lot of responsibility to hold on your shoulders at 23.
Don't really think like not many celebrities could like start a campaign like this, like he has done. So he definitely has like huge influence, and that's one of the reasons why like I made this video about MrBeast. Like, imagine like when I went vegan, right? It's fine. I stopped contributing to like one of the greatest moral problems of our time, but it didn't really change that much. Now I'm trying to sort of multiply that by convincing others too. But
Yeah, sure.
imagine for a moment if like MrBeast went vegan, and he like communicated that message to like his like 75, 70, I don't know, like 75 million subscribers on YouTube. That would be huge, right?
Yeah.
And like maybe he doesn't even have to like go all out like we do. Maybe he could just say like, I'm vegan, right?
Right. That's all it would take,
and that
right?
itself would be like that in itself would be huge, but he won't do it.
No, and it's people think maybe think we're full of shit with this stuff, but You know, there was a researcher at the University of Oxford and said that let me pull this up actually. You guys can see it on the screen. I mean, so with MrBeast, for example, with this, he would have an even bigger impact because of exactly what you've just said. But bear in mind that even if he didn't say anything, even if he decided just to go vegan, I mean, I can't show you the full thing because it's like a paywall, but I can show you this like excerpt of it here. Eating a vegan diet could be the single biggest way to reduce your environmental impact on Earth. A new study suggests researchers at the University of Oxford found that cutting meat and dairy products from your diet could reduce an individual's carbon footprint from food by up to 73%. So that's done by the University of Oxford. That's not vegan propaganda. That's a University of Oxford researcher. Like, these guys are like, you know, it's a legit university. They're doing research on this shit, and they said that. So even if he went vegan himself and didn't go promoting it, it's still a huge thing. And maybe he has. This is what somebody said to me just today, actually. They said they think he might have already gone vegan, but he just doesn't want to say because of the backlash, which is totally plausible, but not when he owns and runs a fucking fast food burger chain, which is 99% animal products, right?
Right.
But so why is it a problem then? So we kind of alluded to the fact that we kind of mentioned that you could never clean up enough plastic if you're contributing to animal agriculture, for example, which is like the University of Oxford researchers just said. Not contributing to that is probably the biggest impact you could have on the planet in a positive way. By eating plant-based is one of the biggest things you could do in your personal life to have a big impact, right? So if you're not doing that, you're doing the opposite. So you're not making that simple change. You're contributing to one of the biggest environmental polluters there are. You could never clean up enough plastic to match or get anywhere near counteracting the negative impact by your daily lifestyle choices. So why is that a problem though? We both made these videos, right? So let's get into the fact, why are we annoyed about this? Why is it even bothering us to begin with? Why did we even make the videos and point this hypocrisy out? What's the focus? What's the goal?
Right. The goal of this stuff is
it's a good question, right? It's a good question.
Right.
Because, I mean, it's what people are wondering. I know, I'm sorry if I put you on the spot. Maybe, do you want me to go first? I feel like I put you on the spot a bit then. So, I just felt this silence and I was like, oh shit, you've not thought about my bad. I should have warned you we were going to get a bit deeper. All right, so for me, why did I make this video, right? So, the reason that the hypocrisy is a problem is that we have so many people out there doing performative activism while not taking the absolute basic minimum steps they could take to actually have an impact and a difference. Like, for example, people, environmentalists, they often have three areas that they focus on, or two areas they focus on. Let's say three areas they focus on. One, the humans. They say there are disadvantaged humans who are very poor, and when the climate changes and extreme weather comes, it is not the rich people who suffer, it is the poor people who suffer. Rich people can get flood protection for their houses. Rich people can get heating and they can get AC, right? Rich people are set. Rich people are totally fine. Poor people can't afford any of that shit. They lose their homes. They die from heat exhaustion. They die from cold. They get fucked, okay? So that's one thing environmentalists are conscious about, which is great. Two, the animals, species extinction, habitat destruction, seeing animals starving to death because, you know, humans have wiped out their forest and now they can't eat anything, they can't live anywhere. Deforestation is a huge problem. So the animals is the second one. And third one that people tend to say, environmentalists tend to say, is just the planet in general. Like, we just don't want to destroy the planet. It's just, we just want to keep it healthy, right? For whatever reason. But they're the three things I hear environmentalists talk about. And I'm sure MrBeast and every single TeamSeas person would say, yes, that's what I'm into, right? So now the problem with this hypocrisy, where it becomes an issue and why I made my video, is that they are directly, by not being vegan and not making these conscious decisions in their lifestyles and their business choices, running a business, they are directly contributing to all three of those things. And I care about people, I care about animals, and I do care about the planet. That's why I made this video. Because MrBeast's business, MrBeast Burger, is, like I said earlier, putting poor people in slaughterhouses and having them get PTSD, depression, anxiety, horrendous antisocial behavior disorders from working in these disgusting places, slitting animals' throats. So his business fucks people over. It fucks animals over. It hurts animals. Animals have their throats slit. cows have their bodies manipulated by farmers to produce milk. They get the babies taken away from them. The pigs get gas chambered. They get put in gas chambers and gassed to death from CO2 from the inside out, burning their throat and lungs. Mr. Beast's company is direct. Mr. Beast's lifestyle choices are directly funding all of that, and animal agriculture is directly responsible for the majority of the climate destruction, the environmental destruction. I care about all of these things. I especially care about the animals because they are by far the most oppressed. They are the most victimized. They deal with the most violence from humans. And Mr. Beast and all these people that are not vegan, that are not making these conscious choices, they're directly causing all these problems while doing performative activism, i.e. kind of pretending they're doing something to help the planet and help all these things when they're really not. So the reason I made the video is because I care about those things, and I want these people to be consistent and help us create a fucking world that not only is sustainable, but it's not violent. Because you can't have sustainability if it's violence. Violent sustainability doesn't, right? So that's where I'm at, basically. That's where I'm at.
I guess we could have that, but that makes no point. Like,
right? Why would you?
Like,
right?
Yeah.
Why would
like,
you? And
that
people
makes
say
no
this.
Yeah. Like you can have
Yeah.
a great planet, like everything's fine, but there's violence. What's the point of it?
Right. Right.
And like about we should point out that the going vegan, right? We talk about this like it's an affirmative thing, and we have to, because like eating animals is so normalized.
Right.
But we have to like point out that like eating meat is not the default position, right? Like it's not the neutral position, right? The neutral position is being vegan, right? And like and people, like when you're like eating animals, like eating dairy and their products, you are making an active, like that's the active thing to do. Being vegan is like you're not doing, you've just, it's a non-action, right? You just like you're not contributing to either side. And like, so the issue here is not that they're not going full out on every sort of dial. They're not maxing out every sort of dial. The problem is that they have one dial in reverse, right? Where they're sort of doing the harmful thing instead of not doing anything. Like I don't even want him to, like we're not asking him to become like vegan activists, animal rights activists, or it's just that like just stop contributing to the problem. That's all we ask. It's not a big ask.
Yeah, and it's the other thing as well is really important to mention. There are a few people who are going to say, well, you can eat animal products sustainably. Like there are sustainable animal products, and I bet that a few Beast fans and people who've thought about this are going to have that argument. And it is actually true though. Like you can, so let's not be. People always like to say vegans are dogmatic. Vegans, it's like no. Like you call a spade a spade. Yes, you can. You can be perfectly healthy. You can be perfectly environmentally friendly, and you can consume animal products and both have all of that together, and you can live to a ripe old age of 100 and have a very minimum impact on the planet. It's true. But then then we're up to the argument of sustainability versus violence. Like, for example, the most sustainable act you could probably do right now, and this is going to sound fucked up, but just bear with me. The most sustainable thing you could probably do for the planet, to help the planet, is go out with an AK-47 and just fire it into a group of people. Not joking, as many people as you can. Why? Well, we have a lot of people, and if we have less people, then we'll have less environmental destruction, because we'll have less people consuming, less people contributing to all these things that are destroying the planet. But you're not going to do that, and don't do that. Why you're not going to do that? Because you're not a violent person, and you acknowledge that violence, although can be sustainable, is not the answer. If you want a less dramatic example, Thanos, the click, right? Seriously. You could do a Thanos and wipe out half of all life, and you would have a very, very sustainable planet left over. We would have more resources. We'd be polluting less, but you wouldn't do it, would you? Because it's violent, because it's unfair, it's unjust. So if you believe that violence is not the answer, if you believe that it's unjust and it's unfair to go and kill for the sake of sustainability, well, okay then, so don't do it to animals too. You can live sustainably while killing them, sure, but why would you want a violent, sustainable planet when you could try and achieve a non-violent, sustainable planet? And that's what the plant-based diet and a vegan lifestyle will give you if you do it correctly anyway. If you aim to eat sustainable plant-based foods, sustainable vegan products, then you know you'll get, just by eating a plant-based diet, you're already going to be having a better environmental impact than someone who's not. But you can go even farther. You can take it really far. You can actually make massive efforts after you've made that simple decision to go vegan. So
right. So people, I feel like you've said something that's like very easy to take out of context, isn't it? That killing humans thing.
I know. I see people in the comments oh my god, let him do it. Let him take it out of context. It's totally fine.
It's so easy to take out of context, but we should point out that like what you're doing there is like you're taking the reasoning of someone else and like showing that it leads to like a ridiculous conclusion, and therefore it's kind of ridiculous, right? The argument that we can have violence like we can be killing and we can be sustainable. Like that's the obvious conclusion. Like you've shown that it leads to like, if you're going to like hold on to that, you might as well go and do do what you just described. Yeah.
That's the point.
And,
it's not just, the point I'm making is that it's not, sustainability is not the be all end all. It's not like that's the only thing to consider. That was the point I'm trying to make. It's not, going vegan is not just, eating plant-based should not be where your decisions end. Like, oh, I'm going to eat plant-based because it's good for the planet. Well, no. Why don't you go further? Like, look at vegan ethics. Look at the logic and the ethics behind, okay, no, not just eating a plant-based diet for the planet. I'm going to go full vegan and adjust my entire life because I am anti-violence. I don't want senseless violence to animals for things that I don't need. I don't believe it's all right to be violent for pleasure, which is what you do when you eat a burger, right? That's what the end goal, I think, is of all of these videos I'm making, and that's why I make videos about MrBeast and the whole environment. The TeamSeas, it's an entry for me. It's like a doorway for people to come into this idea, the ideas that we're talking about now. It's like a it's like a gateway drug. It's like weed.
You know what? Okay, like you talked about one more point there, but what this reminds me of? This reminds me of. I don't know if people are familiar, and it's going to sound like such a Gen Z woke thing for me to say, but it's like it reminds me of something called eco-fascism, right?
Oh shit!
Where people like governments around the world, right, would try to sort of like, there was a paper, I don't remember the author, like, but it was huge. Like, it was a very respectable organization. He wrote this paper called Lifeboat Ethics, right, where he makes the case against helping poor people and sort of letting them struggle, so that the world can be preserved for like basically Westerners, right? And it was like a very I'm kind of remembering it. The name ends, his last name is Harding, and
Jesus,
I made a video about this. Right.
Okay.
It's called why indigenous hunting is sustainable is eco-fascism. It's on my channel, but it kind of reminds me of that, right? Where like in the United States, people belonging to sort of marginalized communities, like what they would refer to as people of color, those groups are sort of sterilized, right? In India, in my country, the government would like sort of incentivize people belonging to like marginalized communities to not reproduce. It was not as direct, I guess. It was like, if you don't have babies, you get these government benefits.
Right.
So it's like it kind of reminds me of the same thing, where as long as the planet is sustainable and as long as humans can live on it, who cares about these other animals?
I get it. Yeah.
Just as those governments did in the past, as long as these privileged humans can live, who cares about all of those other humans? So it's kind of the same thing, right?
I get it. Yeah, it's the same logic. It's like disgusting logic. And this happens a lot when you see people, when people talk about animals, right, and they talk about veganism and they say all these dismissive things, they always use the same arguments that have been used against other groups of people in the past. They repeat the same I don't know what you call them, statements, or kind of like, are you still there?
Same reasoning. Yeah. Can you?
Is it my connection or your connection? I don't really hear you right.
I can hear you.
You can hear me. All right. I'll keep talking. Is it working on you? Is it always okay?
Mine is buffering sometimes.
All right. I'll continue. But your screen is frozen up, and I'm not sure if it's me or you right now that's going wrong. But okay, maybe you're back now. I don't know.
Am I back?
No, it's pretty bad. Hold up. Let's just try and fix this real quick. I don't know if it's me or you. Oh, it appears to be me.
Okay.
Is that,
yeah.
Is the lights on it? Or is it?
It's all green.
Right. Sorry about this, mate. I mean, if you can hear.
And you're gone. Okay. So can people still see me? I don't know. But yeah, I guess we should continue. So yeah, this sort of and like many sort of animal rights activists have sort of pointed this out, that when like there's this animal rights activist called Gary Yourofsky, right? He points out that like before we're taught to hate anyone else, right, we're taught to hate animals, right? Like for example, he uses this example where you take a baby, put the baby in a crib, and put like a rabbit, right, and a carrot, and like see which one the baby, like whom the baby plays with. Does the baby play with the carrot and eat the rabbit, or does the baby play with the rabbit or the bunny and maybe eat the carrot, right? So like this hatred for animals, right? This hatred for animals is one of the most baseline things that we're taught, right? This is where sort of our hatred for others starts. Like think about this: if a child is taught that you are not to discriminate against sort of these other animals because just because they look a little bit different than you, just because they have 4 legs instead of your 2 legs. And that child really understands that message, right? They understand that just because someone is a little different from you, you're not supposed to discriminate against them. Like you're not supposed to discriminate against the pig because it has 4 legs instead of your 2. Do you really think that that child is going to grow up and then discriminate against other human beings because that other human being has a slightly different skin color, right? Are they going are they going to discriminate against them because they are a sort of different caste? Probably not, right? Almost definitely not. So this hatred for other animals that we have, it kind of is the baseline for every other hatred that we're taught. And yeah, like this is how I think if we can understand this message of that, that we should not be violent onto other animals for our taste pleasure, even if we can do it sustainably. I think that's a pretty good message to understand. It's like it covers almost all of ethics, right? That you don't discriminate against others, you don't hate others for no good reason. So yeah, and we were talking about eco-fascism, right? So yeah, eco-fascism. So there are many examples of this kind of stuff where people okay, so like people usually like point out that like there are certain ways of hunting which could be incredibly sustainable, right? But that's kind of the same thing that was done like decades ago, where we said, we could do this sort of sterilize these groups, and we could be incredibly sustainable. So that's kind of, again, we're doing the same thing. So yeah, like by saying that we should do this hunting of animals and eating of animals sustainably, it's not quite the great comeback at vegans that many people think it is. So that's all I have to say on the topic for now. If you want to learn more about that, do be sure to check out the video on my channel. It's more in depth. I'm responding to some more specific arguments like made by non-vegans. Most of them sort of leftist non-vegans, because leftists are very against fascism, right? But the ironic thing here is that leftists, who are supposedly like, who are by definition like against sort of these fascist governments and stuff, they are acting the same way to the systems that they claim to hate. So yeah, do be sure to check out that video. It's called "Why Indigenous Hunting is Sustainable is Eco-Fascism." So yeah, check that out. While we wait for David, right, I think what we should do here is we should read the comments.
I'm back.
Okay.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thanks so much for holding it down, man. I think what happened was MrBeast hacked into my my router.
Right.
Like, cut my internet. So I had to fucking restart my router. Thanks for that, MrBeast.
All
like
right.
getting your hackers all over this shit. Jesus Christ. Anyway, thanks so much for holding that together, mate. It looks like 76 people still watching. You must have been really entertaining whilst I was gone, man. Maybe I should just leave you to it.
Yeah, we're doing like, I have some experience now, don't I?
You just leave you to it, man. Everyone's happier to see you than me. Perfect. Fuck, where were we, man? What was the last thing? Do you remember the last thing we were talking about?
I just carried on with the topic where we kept on talking about eco-fascism.
That was it. That was it.
Way,
Right. Exactly.
Right.
That was it. So you just go on.
And we like you said that one thing, right?
Yeah.
And people do say this a lot, that about eating sustainably, and sure, we can do it on eating animals sustainably, right? And I kind of accept that in one way, but I think we have to be like something was pointed out to me recently that I found quite insightful. You can eat animals sustainably, right? But you cannot scale that, right? So that's not a solution that you can scale, right? Like one person can be eating animals maybe every day or maybe like once, like in 2 days, 3 days, but you cannot scale that, right?
No, of course.
8 billion people cannot eat animals sustainably. That's just not possible.
Exactly.
So I do think that like first of all, we pointed out that even if it were sustainable, even if it were possible, doesn't do it. That's not a great argument. But the thing is that even if you could do it individually, you cannot. That's not a solution because we cannot apply it across the globe.
Totally agree. I've just remembered the point I was going to make earlier about the I was there. Now it's kind of B12 deficiency. B12 guys, take your B12s and your vitamin D. No, so when you were talking about, that was it, the things that people can make, the points that people make against vegans and against animal rights activists, and for the things they say about the animals, that was what I wanted to talk about. And how you said, you were given the example earlier of this guy who tried to make an ethical argument for letting poor people just either starve or not procreate, or like just basically screwing them over for the sake of rich people having a better life. Now people do this to the animals. They're like, well, fuck them. We can use them. We can abuse them. We'll breed them, do what we want because it makes our lives more pleasurable, entertaining, whatever, right? And what you'll find is that the arguments they use are very, very eerily similar to like racist arguments, sexist arguments, anti-Semitic arguments, to like the arguments that those individuals make. If you switch out the victim of some of these anti-vegan arguments, they end up sounding very, very similar. So for example, people say, but look, hey, if we didn't breed animals and use them, they wouldn't have a purpose. Well, switch out animals for Africans, and then you've got a pro-slavery argument. Because that's what they would say. If we didn't get these people and keep them and you know, they did breed people, by the way, they bred humans. If we didn't do all of this, what else would they be doing? What else would this is their purpose? It's what they're here for. But people say that exact same thing about animals and don't realize it's been used before for humans. And how fucked is that? And they say the same thing for
And,
women too, like similar arguments for women. Well, if the woman wasn't at home looking after my kids and cooking for me, what else would she be doing? Working, voting. So funny. Like, no, seriously, this is what people used to fucking say. And they say the same thing about animals. Well, they can't do anything else. Like, why shouldn't they do what I want them to do? It's all the same logic, and it's this disgusting, discriminatory. I'm better, so therefore, I feel like I'm superior. Therefore, you do what I want you to do because I feel like I'm more powerful. I am more powerful, and I feel more superior to you. Right? It's the same shit. It's the same shit.
So there was this sort of document that was published within the feminist movement. It was called the Vindication of the Rights of Women. And when that came out, right, there was this sort of another satire piece that came out. It was called the Vindication of the Rights of Brutes, right? Brutes meaning, in this case, like animals.
Okay.
And so they were like, like if women can have rights, why can't animals? Ha ha ha.
Oh, so it was like a mockery. Wow.
It was like a mockery. So
That's...
it's like they saw it that, you know, if you can extend moral consideration beyond sort of just men,
right.
Why not to animals? Ha ha ha. But
as if that's like such a crazy thing. Like, what, you're going to give rights to dogs next? Women, women, what's next? Cats?
Yeah.
You crazy people? Like, yeah, I get it. It's fucked, isn't it, that people think like that?
That's the point, right? That's the point, right? Like, they were so close, right? Like, and when people say, right, that, you know, we should not sort of extend it, right, to animals.
Yeah.
Like that's a sort of baseline. They sort of took it like that's the granted thing, right?
Right.
And like that's the conclusion we know, and therefore rights should not be extended to women. But how about this? We know that rights should be extended to women, should be extended to people just beyond like white people, or should beyond just any privileged group that you want to take, and maybe use that reasoning and apply it, like apply that reasoning and sort of extend it to animals. I learned this. I learned this from a podcast, by the way. It was Seb Alex's podcast, who also did a video on TeamSeas and his conversation with Cosmic Skeptic, and where they point out like where like one person says like, you know, we already know, like, this is the reasoning that works, and maybe sort of apply it. And some people are like, say the opposite. We know that's the kind of wrong thing. That's the wrong conclusion. Therefore, we cannot apply it. So, yeah. So like, pick your side. Like, which side do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the side of like the side that says, you know, we can't apply it, can't extend it, and therefore this is wrong, or we know this is right, therefore we extend it to the other individuals as well. Yeah,
exactly. I think that we're getting maybe a little bit more into like philosophy here, and I think that's probably not wasn't the plan. But totally, I'm with you. And how is all of this relevant to the situation with MrBeast? I mean, let's pull it back again and TeamSeas. Well, it's because probably the reason that MrBeast and all the TeamSeas campaigners don't consider what we're saying and haven't thought about this is because of what you were just pointing out. There's a complete lack of the idea that of going vegan, the idea of giving animals a moral consideration, like to look at an animal and think about, okay, I shouldn't do this. I think this is wrong. That seems, I'm making an assumption here, but only because they're not vegan. To MrBeast and all the non-vegan TeamSeas campaigners, they would see this as just ridiculous, just as ridiculous as those people who were against women's rights saw that as ridiculous. Like women having rights, women having ridiculous. MrBeast and these TeamSeas campaigners probably look at what we're saying or about animals, or haven't even considered it, because the idea of it is just like, I should stop eating animals because they have feelings, and because it's better for the planet, and because poor people get forced in, well, not forced, but they have no choice but to work in slaughterhouses because they know no other way to earn money. Really? And it's like, well, yeah, these things, this is extreme, this is valid. Like if you're claiming to be someone who cares for the planet, and by extension, by default, if you care for the planet, it means you must care about animals. I mean, unless you just care about humans. But even if you just care about humans, that's still a good enough reason to start eating plant-based, because of all the humans who suffer from environmental destruction and the animal agriculture industry. It's just like no-brainer to be at least eating a plant-based diet if you're claiming you care about the environment, isn't it?
There are like so many benefits, and one of the benefits that I could mention to eating a vegan diet might get this video demonetized. So let's not mention.
Maybe. Well, I mean, you could. Can you get around it without using certain words? Maybe.
Yeah, let's try it. So that this whole thing, because of which we all had to stay indoors for like a year at least.
Okay. Yeah. I
right?
get it. The C, just call it the C, the big C. And if you want to talk about the big V, we can talk about that, but just keep it as the letters, and I think we can get away with it.
Okay. So the big C is a type of. Is an example.
Okay, right. Okay, I'm with you. Okay, I've got some experience doing this. All right, so I'll explain the whole situation. So we're all in this shitty situation with lots of restrictions, right? Lots of like wearing things on our faces and having to. Lots of people are having to get a little jab. Can I even say that? No. Well, we'll try again. They're having to get something, to work and all these things. And I know what you're trying to get at. This all came from us fucking with animals. This all started from us fucking with animals. It's an issue that passed over from animals to humans, and it wouldn't have done that if people didn't have animals in fucking markets and agriculture. Is that the point you're going to get at here? So that this doesn't happen again. Basically, that's a big argument to be vegan.
Right. Maybe not this, maybe not the C, right? But
okay.
To
but
prevent
future worse ones.
Yeah. Like we got lucky with this one, right? Like if it was any worse than this, right, we would not be in this situation, right? It would be so much worse. And if it was like sort of milder than this, maybe we wouldn't even have noticed it. So this is sort of like the mildest form of this global P.
Disaster. Global health disaster is what we're in. A global health disaster.
So, like to prevent future occurrences of these kinds of things, we should the future occurrences of these kinds of things. The best way to guarantee that it happens is to cram animals into these small spaces, like cram them into spaces where they cannot move, right? Mm-hmm. With other animals, right? While we are saying that we should maintain a distance of 6 feet from each other, we're cramming other animals into these small spaces where they cannot move because like just how small the space is, and it's just a breeding ground for V.
Exactly. For future ones, there are many. It's a breeding ground for disease. It's a breeding ground for future potential global health disasters. Animal agriculture, these things, they develop, they mutate, they grow in these within animals. It's the perfect breeding ground. It's hot, it's moist, it's often dark. They're in close proximity. They live in their own piss and shit. Sometimes blood. Like it's just biohazards everywhere. Like these places are so sensitive to potential diseases that when people go in and out, they have to wear either suits or they have to have specific clothing or biosuit, and they have to wash their feet in like special liquids and chemicals, because if any small kind of bacteria or whatever disease gets in or out of these places, it can cause fucking hell. It can cause, like, you got mad cow disease in England that was extremely bad. And basically every major global health disaster that has been like a spread over the world, almost every single one of them started in animals. So it's just, there's another reason to stop breeding them, putting them into these horrible situations, right?
Right, and the scale that we're doing it at, right? Like sooner or later, it's just an inevitable. Like it's inevitable, right? That sooner or later there is going to be a mutation that that the disease jumps from like animals to humans, right?
Yeah, it's inevitable.
That's the nature of this stuff. So there's that, right? We talked about like environmental pollution. There's also something related to the one we just discussed. I think I can say this, but I'm not sure.
Try it.
Should I type it?
Sure.
In the type. Hold on.
I'm glad you. I think it's fine. Yeah,
This is fine,
I
right?
think antibiotic resistance. I think is fine. I don't think there's any problem saying that.
Yeah. So like because we use so much, like because these spaces are like so crammed and so many animals are being crammed into these small spaces, they will get sick if we don't use antibiotics. But the
Absolutely.
more antibiotics we use, right, the more antibiotics we use, the more these sort of germs, these germs have a, not germs exactly, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, these potential future health, these things that are going to infect
Yeah.
and potentially kill lots of
Right. So
people, they get a
and
resistance to it.
yeah. So these
Yeah.
germs and bacteria, they kind of develop an immunity to it. That's because, and imagine like our whole medical system, right, depends on this stuff, right, or on antibiotics.
Yeah.
So if we continue eating animals, there's a great chance that antibiotics will stop working. And
Absolutely.
if that happens, right, we're doomed. And
Things
yeah, so
we're
there's
fucked.
that.
Absolutely fucked.
Those are three things. And there's this one that I talked about earlier while you were gone.
Okay.
If a sort of child is taught that you're not supposed to discriminate against these other animals just because they look a little different from you, right?
Yeah.
Just because they look a little different from you, you should not discriminate against them. Do you think that child is going to grow up and then going to say, that person has a little has a skin complexion that's a little bit different than mine?
It's a bad start, isn't it? Teaching them this to discriminate between animals from a young age is obviously not the best start in the world. But
Right.
I think that's an interesting argument. But I think honestly, like, it's an interesting point. But I think in the absence of like any actual data on that, I think or any it's a good idea. But I think everything else we discussed is more than enough to express why to do this. I mean, if you look at everything we just talked about, with that one aside though, but everything else we've covered, which is quite based in logic and reason and evidence too, then you've got to look again. We'll go back to MrBeast. We'll go back to TeamSeas. And so the thing we just mentioned with the antibiotic resistance, the potential future global health disasters, the humans who suffer from climate change, the poor people who suffer the most, the poor people who are often working in slaughterhouses, minorities working in slaughterhouses, PTSD, depression from killing animals every day, for fucking every day, 5 days a week. Can you even imagine what it does to your mental health? And obviously, if you're not a piece of shit and you do care about animals, which would be great, then just think about what they go through. And as I've said, all of that, slitting throats, taking babies away, forced impregnation, gas chambers, all that shit, all of this together. And MrBeast's company, Beast Burger, not only pays for all of that, but profits from all of that. All of it. Every single thing that I've just said, that Beast Burger profits from the lot. I'm not saying he does it consciously. I'm not saying he's doing it on purpose. I'm not saying that he goes, oh, this is so good that my business profits from all of that. No, he probably never even considered it. That's the problem. That's why these videos need to be made. And every single person who is not making business from that, not making profit from that, but is paying into it, you're paying for everything that I've just said. If you're not eating plant-based, if you're not looking for vegan products, if you're not vegan, you're paying for every single thing that I've just said. It's a no-brainer. Why would you want to pay for all of that? And especially, why would you want to pay for all of that if you're pro-environment, if you're advocating and trying to get people to give you money so you can clean the fucking seas and rivers and oceans and beaches? And if you care about all these things, why would you be doing this other thing at the same time? And all those horrors that I've just said, why would you pay for all of that? So what can MrBeast and everyone else who's in this campaign, maybe the people who are watching right now who are like, you know what, this is fucked up. Like, actually, what can they actually do to do something about it, right? Because we've talked about why it's bad. We talked about why MrBeast and all these people are hypocritical, and why being hypocritical is a problem in this context. Now, what can they do? What are the actions to take?
I suppose the easiest one is obviously to go vegan, right? And I suppose like that's we're asking, like, once you've done that, right? That's the sort of bare minimum.
Right.
Once you've done that, there's like a lot more you could do. But I think if the whole world sort of just went vegan, right, if all 8 billion of us that I think in itself would be such a huge change, right? I think like that already undoes so much harm with it that we do. That's I think would be. I really don't know what further we could do ahead of that, but
It'd be a
I think
fantastic start for the average person, right? For the average person sat at home who's not Mr. Beast, who's not whatever these other big influencers, right? For the average person sat at home who's just like, what the fuck do I do? Like, what can I do that makes the biggest impact? You're absolutely right. I agree with you that going vegan will be the biggest thing that you can do because it changes every single thing that you spend money on in your life changes when you go vegan because you start to look at things and make purchase decisions based on the ethical consequences of it. So does my purchase kill an animal? Does my purchase fund animal agriculture? You start to make that your priority, and it's easy. It's not difficult. You can get help. There'll be a link in the pinned comment here. But if you're here live, go to challenge22.com. You'll get a free vegan starter pack. They'll tell you how to do it on a budget, nutrition, everything you need, all for free. They're awesome. So, and that every single penny that you spend from that day onwards, you'll be voting for things that are anti-animal abuse, anti-environmental destruction. By default, you'll be doing better for the environment as long as you're not just like, I don't know, buying imported products that are like from the opposite side of the world, and that's all you eat. You eat locally, eat well, try and eat whole foods, the things that are available nearby, and vegan, and buy vegan products, and do it all ethically. That's the simplest decision, the simplest thing you can do as an average person, right? Mr. Beast, though, he's not an average person, and he owns a business that is directly profiting from all of this horror. So what can he do? Like, what are the realistic steps that he could take without, let's give some practical things here, without destroying his business, because he's got a business. You got to appreciate that, respect that. Like, he's built it up. He's not. I don't know if he came from money, but clearly he built up his YouTube, what can he do? What steps could he take to fix this problem, but also not completely fuck himself over? What do you think?
I think he could start. Excuse me. I think he could start serving like vegan options at his restaurants, and maybe instead starting out, he could instead of he could offer different options, right? At his restaurants currently, right? You can't eat. You can't go there right now and eat. For the most part, you can't go there and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to eat that maybe a pizza, but instead of having dairy cheese and actual flesh, I'm going to have it with vegan meat and vegan cheese, right?
You can't do that right now.
You don't have that option at his outlets.
Yeah.
Maybe he could at least start offering that option, but maybe he doesn't have to right away. Maybe he couldn't financially do that. I think
I don't
check
know,
this out. But at least he could offer the option, right? That's at least the least he could do, right?
The least, right? I think, check this out, right? Now the thing is, he's fast food, junk food. He's not doing it for health, right? It's not a health restaurant, so just forget the health food right now. We're not interested in health food. There are chicken burger alternative, vegan chicken burgers. There are vegan beef burgers. There is vegan cheese. That is amazing, right? That is next level, tasty as fuck. Some of these are easy to trick people with, very easy. I've done it myself. I've tricked people before into thinking things were meat, and just it's been done, right? It's been done. So he has the knowledge. He has the youth. He's a good age. He's business savvy. He's coming into this from a really good perspective. I genuinely believe that if he came out tomorrow and said, hey, Mr. Beast Burger is now fully plant-based, and I guarantee you will not be disappointed. It is fucking awesome. It tastes amazing. If he did that, I don't think he would get hate. I think people would be excited, just like they're excited for the McPlant, just like they're excited for the KFC vegan burger. People are queuing up for KFC vegan, around, so there was serious traffic for this shit. If he did that, I think A, he would make more money. B, he would be fixing most of those issues that we just discussed. And C, he wouldn't be a fucking hypocrite anymore. I think, and I know that the production line, and I know there's things that need to be taken care of, and I know it takes time. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying do it tomorrow, mate, go. But fuck, if he did it, I see nothing but positives. People are interested in plant-based food right now. And if he did it, if he especially did it, imagine if he promoted it. I've done TeamSeas, I've done Team Trees. Now I'm going the whole 9 yards. I'm eating plant-based from today onwards. And my entire business is now plant-based, guys. Come and check out this fucking awesome food. I'm going to show you how we can save the planet and still eat awesome junky food. Where is the loss? Who's losing in this scenario?
You know what? This is me making this is perhaps the result of me making YouTube videos for a while now.
Okay.
I think this could be like a great video, right?
Sure.
Like the title would be I replaced the meat with vegan meat without telling anyone, and this is the
Legend.
reaction.
Great video.
Yeah.
Great video.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
it's a win. I just don't
something like
see the
that.
loss here. I just don't see.
Yeah.
You know, where is he going to lose? People love him. You see the hate we got from speaking out, right? People fucking love him. They worship the ground he walks on. And you know what? He's earned that. He's a nice guy. He's a good guy. He does give a lot to people. I like him. I like him. He seems like, I reckon he'd be a cool guy to be friends with. So he's got that already. He's got people on his side. And he could use that to his advantage, to the advantage of the animals, to the advantage of the planet. It's an incredible opportunity for him if he's gonna put his money where his mouth is, and if he actually gives a shit about the planet. And I assume he cares about animals. I assume he cares about people. I assume he cares about the planet, because that's what people usually care about when they say I'm an environmentalist. So, dude, it's time to go do it then, right? I mean, really do it. And it's incredible. I wish I could just sit with him and have a chat about this. I'm sure he would agree. I'm almost certain he'd be like, okay, I want to fucking think about this. Maybe, who knows, man? You never know. Maybe one of his team's watching this or will watch this. You just never know.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, I really hope someone is, and we can have some kind of. Maybe I'll make a clip. I'll clip this down maybe and do a separate one more attempt to try and catch his attention. And who knows, right? Who knows? But for the people watching that don't own a business, the easiest thing you can do to help the planet, help the animals, help the people, all that shit, go against all that shit, is just go vegan. And it's simple, right? I mean, you're doing it in India.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, most people watching are in India. Not that I'm saying it's harder in India. I'm just saying that India doesn't have a lot of the convenience
Vegan
items, right?
Yeah.
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 But
It's like you can be healthy easily as a vegan, like here, right? But you cannot be
because you don't have the choice.
vegan, right? You don't have that like vegan junk food here, right?
Right.
So yeah, like the closest that I can get to like something like vegan meat would be just plain soy chunks.
Yes, love those though. Love those, man. We got into those when we lived in India for a bit.
So yeah, it's easy.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So we've got a few, by the way, donations, and I just want to read those out. So we had Pasquina says, keep up the good work. Thank you so much for your donation. Legend. £3 donation. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you. We have a longer one. I'm going to read it out. There's a bit cut off at the end. It's from Anna, who donated $3. She says, MrBeast ignores that 46% of the plastic in the Pacific garbage patch is fishing nets, but says nothing about fish consumption. Then goes on to sell burgers, which causes ocean dead zones. But remember, guys, he's a good guy and he cares a lot. Yeah, that's what we've been through. It's like, you know, we can't assume negative intent without any evidence of it, but we can assume ignorance. And I do believe that he's been ignorant, and so have a lot of these people have been ignorant to the issues on purpose. I said in my video that I do kind of think that it's a purpose. It's blissful ignorance. I do kind of feel that way, because I'm sorry, but if you're like a 23-year-old or anywhere between the ages of fucking 18 and 30, and you're spending most of your time on YouTube, you have seen vegan videos. You have seen what's going on. The only way that you haven't is if you've shoved your head in the sand and ignored it. So I do kind of think there is some blissful ignorance here. I do, but I don't think that he's doing it because he's evil or something like that. I don't think that there's, I wouldn't go that far. I just think the majority of people prefer to ignore it, don't they? Right?
Right. Like,
you agree?
It's like, people live in their like echo chambers, though. Like you see one kind of stuff, that's just all you see on the internet.
Exactly. Well, Yeah, it's true. But I mean, you would at least have seen something by a vegan teacher, right? I mean, we'll come back to that in a second. We'll come back to that in a second. We have one more I just want to read out from Airmelly, who says, David, I checked out your MrBeast video. Great stuff. And Airmelly sent through actually a €25 donation, which is amazing. Thank you so much. You're an absolute legend. Amazing, amazing. Everybody who's donating, thank you. We'll stick around as long as you guys want us to. If you've got more questions for us or anything you want to mention, send it through with the Streamlabs. We'll get to it. But now let's get on to something interesting. Let's get on to some drama. We've been nice. We've been through all the nice stuff. We've ticked all the boxes that we wanted to get through today. Now let's have a bit of fun. I mentioned that vegan teacher, didn't I? Do you want to see something fucking hilarious that's going to make you laugh?
Sure.
All right. Yeah. Imagine if you said, no, actually, I'm all right. I don't want to see anything funny. No, David, fuck off. All right. No. All right. Let me pull this up and just get it ready. This is good. So I've got this app, a Chrome extension that shows you can search comments via keywords, right? So I'm going to show you right now. So here we go on the screen. So here we go. This is my MrBeast video here. This is okay. This is the one I made. 79,000 views, 14,000 dislikes. Right now, check this out. The comments are loading up. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Yeah,
you can. Yeah. Great. I'll zoom in a bit. There you go. So this is behind the scenes. You get to see how my screen looks. I've got all these analytics apps and shit. So the comments are just populating now. There'll be like 4,000, 5,000 comments. And when they're finished, I'm going to show you something absolutely hilarious. And it just really shows you in what kind of where people are at. So 4,899 comments. Watch this. Vegan teacher. Let's see how many of them.
Okay.
225 people. Okay, vegan teacher. Okay, these are like one after another. Different people. Vegan teacher 2.0. Vegan teacher's son. New vegan teacher. Vegan teacher reincarnated. Vegan teacher 2.0. New vegan teacher. New vegan teacher. Look at and you know, this is not like these are different people making comments sometimes on different days, and they all think they're the first person to make this comment. Look how many times the vegan teacher 2.0 one comes up. It's just wow. I mean, imagine like making this comment and they think like, oh my god, I'm gonna be the first person that's ever said this. 202 of you had the exact same response to this video. Do you not think that's a bit of a problem? What the fuck is wrong with you? Do you not have individual thought? Do you not have thoughts of your own? Do you just copy and paste the next person's comment above because you think it's funny or cool? Like, what happened?
I got many of these comments too.
Yeah, you did. You got 30. I've checked yours. Let's take a look though. Yours had 2,000, I believe, 2,000 comments, and of those,
no, this is not the one.
This is the one. Yeah. So 25,000 views, 3,700 dislikes. So those are rookie numbers, bro. The dislikes. You need to get that. You need to get those numbers up, man. You need to get that up to 14,000.
Yeah.
All right, let's have a look.
I get this type of comment that like, which was a bit funny to me. The first one I got was.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
The first one I got was like someone said, "This is the Indian vegan teacher."
Oh yeah, that's a good one though. I like that. That's a good one. But here you've got 34 of 2,262, but it's the same. All right, vegan teacher, shut up, vegan teacher. Dude is vegan teacher 2.0 again. And these are different people saying the same thing to you as they said on mine. Phenomenal. Male edition. I got that one a few times too. Vegan teacher male edition. The Indian vegan teacher is pretty good though. That's almost as good as that time somebody said on one of my videos, oh, here we go with the white Gandhi again. And I love that shit. I have got that on my Twitter bio. I've got that on my Instagram bio, the white Gandhi. I think it's fucking fantastic. I'm so happy about that one. But yeah, I mean, it's a real problem, isn't it? With these, I don't think that your video was unreasonable. I don't think that my video was unreasonable. Mine was a more energetic, let's say, but you could say not energetic, wrong word. Passionate, let's say. I was more just going for it and just ranting. Yours was more actual, like calm and but either way, I don't think anything either of us said was like inappropriate or offensive or, you know, calling someone a hypocrite isn't the nicest thing in the world, but it's not like we were calling him some I don't know, it's like fucker or like is a nice total asshole, evil person. We weren't doing anything like that.
No,
'Cause
the
I
fashionable
don't
thing
think
to
he
do is to call people racists and fascists and that kind of stuff. We didn't do that, right?
Yeah, there's no somebody like said this is somebody in one of my comments said this is just cancel culture. It's like I don't want him cancelled. I like his videos. I like him. He's a good I don't think he's a bad guy. I just think he's ignorant on this. And I wanted to point that out. And
Right.
I wanted to use this campaign and use his popularity to pull attention to something that that will impact his campaign, that will impact his attempts to save the world or whatever in a good way. It's like, and people saying you're riding off his popularity. Yes, I am riding off his popularity. Absolutely. I don't give a fuck. Of course I'm doing that. I want to draw attention to an issue that I'm really passionate about, that he is also passionate about, that I normally, with my reach, I'm building my reach, but it's you know, to get something that goes viral, it's difficult for anyone. It's a lot easier when you're talking about someone who's very, very popular to get a viral video. And if you can get a good moral message in that viral video, then it's a win-win. It's not like the people who just make videos bitching about him. That's not cool. That's like, you're just doing that for what? I didn't do that. You didn't do that. There was a moral message. There was a solid, ethical, moral, environmental, animal-friendly, you know, human-friendly message in these videos. They weren't negative videos. They had a positive impact. You know, the positive. What's the word I'm trying to say? It's encouraging people to do something positive, albeit
Encouraging
a positive
people.
change, whilst pointing out some negativities and hypocrisies of someone else. You know, it's at their expense, fine, but it doesn't mean you hate them, right? That's the point. It doesn't mean you hate them.
Yeah.
There's
Don't
no
hate. Like we can disagree. We can disagree and like still be friends. Like currently, right, people can't seem to wrap their heads around this, right? It's like if you disagree with someone, you must hate them.
Right.
But that's not necessary. Like we can disagree, and we could still, you know, really like each other.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah. And I really want to say this one more time for these people who think I'm a fucking hater. I don't hate him. I do not hate him. I think he's funny. I like him. I find his content to be very entertaining. I'm actually, check this out. The first time I ever saw a video by MrBeast, it wasn't a video by MrBeast. It was a video where he was being interviewed about how to beat YouTube, how to win at YouTube, how to get your thumbnails in line, you know, everything. And it really, really helped me kind of think about what I wanted to do with my YouTube. And I had immediate respect for him. Then I started watching his videos after watching that interview. And I was like, wow, I can see why this guy's famous. It's like, I've got respect for the guy on other topics. Like on YouTube, he's awesome. He's great. He knows what he's talking about. Listen to him on YouTube. He knows what he's talking about. Well, on veganism, I know what I'm fucking talking about. And if he wanted to come along and make a video about how shit I am at YouTube, I'd have to listen because he knows what he's talking about. And it's like, okay, thanks, man. Thank you for the feedback. I'll take it on board. Now, I've made a video about him being shit on veganism. I would hope he would watch it and be like, all right, yeah, I'll take that on board because he knows what he's talking about. Veganism, I know he knows what he's talking about on YouTube, right? It's an exchange. It's not, if he shit on me for my YouTube, I would be upset, but I'd be like, well, at least I can take some feedback from him. Like I'd appreciate him. Even if he was shitting on me, I'd be like, well, as long as you give me some pointers, I'll take it, you know? I'll take it, right? And we have a comment, by the way, from Carnist Deterioration. Half the comment, a bit of the comment's missing, but I'll read it. Thank you for the $5 donation. What do you guys think about the new vegan teacher debacle where she compared slavery to animal ag and people are calling her racist? I think that the whiners are Carnist bootlicking garbage. This is definitely in your kind of area, right? What are you?
Right.
I can respond, but you've been through this a lot on your channel, right? Like comparing slavery to animal ag, and what's your take on that? Is that okay or not?
Right, sure. So the problem with saying that you should not do it, is that again this has been done before. Like people would say, people still say, especially in the United States, the slavery of one race. Like whenever you make these comparisons from animal agriculture to human slavery, people say, how dare you compare eating meat to the enslavement of one race? The problem there is that slavery was not just of one race. Even if you just want to consider the most recent iterations of the last 200 years, people around the world were enslaved, and they said the same thing. How dare you compare this? When people in India were told enslaved to work on tea gardens, tea farms, right?
Right.
It was not called in the history books. It is not recorded as enslavement. It is recorded as forced recruitment, right?
Right.
So
Yeah, they call
that's
there's
again,
another word for it, like indentured servants. Is it something like that? It's kind of like there's ways. Yeah, okay. It's basically
Yeah.
when people are forced
Yeah.
to work,
Yeah.
and they've come up with different terminology
They have
because they
different
didn't want to say
words,
they were
different
enslaved. Yeah.
words, right? But it's enslavement, and like people did that. People still do that. Like even some historians will still refer to it as forced recruitment when it was in fact slavery. Um, ju- don't you see the problem when you're saying that you should not refer to animals being enslaved as enslavement? You're kind of doing the same thing as those people who said don't call human slavery slavery.
Right.
You're doing the same thing. It's the same problem.
Right. Absolutely. You can't. It's like we said earlier. Call a spade a spade. If whether they're human or non-human, the word slavery doesn't only apply to one type of animal. It doesn't only apply to one ethnicity or race of people. It applies to anyone who is being enslaved. That's the,
Right.
the dictionary definitions don't matter. The point is that is what it is to be. What it is to be a slave is to be the opposite of free. The animals are the opposite of free. In the past, the Indian people were the opposite of free. When under the British, there was many iterations of people
Right.
who had their freedom taken away and were under the power of somebody who used them for their own gain. That is what slavery is. Now, the
Do you know
animals
where the word slavery comes from?
no, Slav comes from Slav.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
because
'cause
the Slavic people were enslaved, right? Because they were they didn't
exactly.
have. So it kind of extends beyond.
Absolutely.
Like,
And this idea that it only ever, the only iteration of the only example of slavery that ever happened in human history was the one that everybody thinks about in America. The idea that, or not only America, but you know what I mean. And the idea that is the only one. And if you talk about slavery in any other context, you're offending those people is just fucking ridiculous. That is the most recent. That is not even the most recent
not
one,
even
by
the
the
most.
way. It's not
Right,
even. It's
even right now as we speak.
absolutely. Yeah.
There are human slaves, and not all of them are like the black people. It's like people from around the world who are
Absolutely. Still
enslaved.
enslaved.
So
Still enslaved.
it's not even the most recent one.
No.
But it's just
But
like
it's the one that
it's
people
like,
most people go to. That's the issue here. So take all that away. Now you know that. Now you know as you're a viewer, you've just reset your mind and realized that that's not the only time it ever happened. And people have enslaved people from the beginning of time. White people enslaved white people. Black people enslaved black people. Asian enslaved Asian. Everyone has been enslaved by everyone else. All right. It's not just like one group and they're the only ones that ever had it. It's not how it is. Now you know this. Get that in your head. Process it for a second. Now move on past that and now look at the animals. Now when that vegan teacher or any vegan compares or makes a contrast between human slavery and the things that happen to the animals and points out the similarities, the way that they're forced to work, the way that they are forced and kept in certain conditions in certain ways, the way they don't have freedom over their own lives. How is it inaccurate to compare the two? How is it inaccurate to say what animals go through is slavery? It's not inaccurate. It's completely accurate. Once you take away all this emotional baggage with that word and you realize that it's a word that's used to describe not having freedom and being forced to do things for someone else's benefit. Well, that's exactly what the animals are. That's what's happening to them. That's what's happening to loads of humans still. It's not offensive to say that. It's just factual. And you could say, obviously, you could say it's inflammatory. You could say like, oh, but it really pisses people off. And, those are arguments to say, okay, maybe if maybe don't. Okay, sure. There are loads of arguments like to say, okay, maybe it pisses people off. Maybe people get too upset about it. Maybe that's why you shouldn't use the word. Sure. But it doesn't mean that the word's wrong. It's accurate. It's an accurate way of describing what's happening. And that's just the be all end all of it. There's no counter argument to that. You cannot possibly say that it's inaccurate. If you've got no argument, I've never seen anyone provide a solid argument behind that. So it's yeah, it is what it is, guys. It's brutal, absolutely brutal. And if you don't want to call it slavery, just you can describe what's happening to the animals, and it's just as bad as saying slavery. It's like, okay, they are forcibly bred, they're kept in captivity, they are kept in tight, close proximity to each other, forced to do things until one day when they're forced onto a truck, forced into a slaughterhouse, and then a knife is forced across their throat. Would you prefer to have that rather than just saying they're enslaved? Actually, it's worse to describe what's happening to them. Actually, when you say they're slaves, that's actually better. That's a nicer way of explaining
that
it.
doesn't describe everything that goes on.
Absolutely. Actually, you know what? It's a really good point. When you talk about all the human slaves too, like when you say slavery, you're actually almost doing a disservice to what they went through. Like explain everything. Talk about everything they went through. The one word isn't good enough. It really isn't, but it's so there you go. That's the answer to that, basically. We got to there in the end. So is there anything you wanted to cover that we didn't get through?
I can't think of anything right now.
Sure.
But,
that's cool.
I think we can have any. Yeah.
I think we can wrap up then. There's no more questions in no more questions in the comments, no more questions in the Streamlabs or anything like that. So we can wrap up. I'll say thank you everybody for coming to watch. Thank you especially Soytheist for coming on here and getting into this with me as two of us who have been taking so much shit from thousands of people. It's nice to connect and address some of the bullshit. How do you feel? Has it been good for you to get through some of this? Oh, I've lost your audio, man. I've got no audio.
Once I published that video, right? It's like so many comments and I didn't really have I didn't really want to be responding to them like one at a time, right? So it feels nice, kind of addressing them all at one place and for other people to watch, right? Like if I'm commenting there, it's not like many other people are seeing here. People can see what's exactly wrong with those arguments. Sure.
Well, it's been great to have you on, man, and I appreciate you, coming here to bounce these ideas off each other and deal with some of this bullshit. Everybody go and subscribe to Soytheist on here on YouTube. He's got a great channel, great account. If you're into the philosophical stuff and logical and a bit more calmer and definitely much less swearing than me, then go and subscribe to Soytheist. It's right up your street. He never swears actually, so yeah, if you prefer more family friendly content, get over there. But he does talk about some pretty intense, controversial topics, so maybe not totally family friendly, right? But no swearing, right? No swearing.
Yeah,
never swear. All right, so you can check him out. Yeah, as I said, Soytheist on YouTube, Soytheist on Instagram. The link will be in the pinned comment and also in the description. The link is already in the description. Go and check him out. Thanks a lot, Soytheist. Thanks everybody else. See you in tomorrow's video where we're going to go live for 10 hours responding to ex-vegans. If you want, dude, if you're interested, you could come along for a bit. If you want to come join me and do some reactions with me if you're free.
Yeah, sure. But I'll have to know the time.
We'll talk about it. Yeah. We'll talk about it. You could always just drop me a comment or inbox me on Instagram. Say, hey, I'm free. Can I come in for like half an hour or whatever? Sure. And then come and hang out, man. That should be a good one. All right. See you tomorrow then, everybody, including you, Sophia. See everybody tomorrow.